Today's video, we are going to cover the conflict in Iran and how to think about that with your financial plan and investments. And then we're going to cover some exciting, fun topics and events that we have coming up at Harford Retirement Planners. So let's get right into it. So the ongoing conflict between the U.S. and Iran is dragging on longer than I think anybody would really like. What I'm going to do is put aside the ugliness of war and conflict. There's a humanitarian concern. But if you would bear with me for purposes of this video, we are going to talk about it specifically for investments and your financial plan and how you can stay or get to retirement comfortably. So for a little backstory for the market, last year we were still fighting inflation, and it's hanging around a little bit longer than we would like, although we're in much better shape we were a couple years ago. And tariffs last year. Tariffs were the big headline that drove 2025's market downturn. Market really shrugged them off and we hit all-time highs. The beginning of this year, the Iran conflict is dominating the minds of most investors, so we'll frame how we think about that when we're working with clients and creating portfolios. The market does not like uncertainty. It puts a lid on potential returns. And it creates volatility, which we've experienced to begin the year. I will frame this by, as of today, filming this video, the market is flat to up. So despite what scary headlines and social media posts and maybe conversations with coworkers or friends, the market hasn't really had too much of an impact. But let's talk about where we see things going forward and how we incorporate that in our investing. So the uncertainty with Iran is oil. It's energy. The Strait of Hormuz has been closed, and there's truce talks. They fall apart. They come back. It's unresolved as of recording of this. 20% of the world's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz, and if that is shut down for an even longer period of time, we've already seen it at the pumps, oil and energy goes up. If oil and energy prices go and stay up, then that is inflationary. And if there is inflation, that means interest rates really aren't at a point where we can start bringing them down. So in this cascading waterfall of different events, it really begins with energy prices coming down, inflation continuing to inflate less. Inflation rates coming down means interest rates can come down, which will remove a lot of barriers for even better growth than what we've seen these last couple of years. So where do we go from here? We see three potential scenarios for what happens next with this conflict and the market in general. First one, a very quick from here resolution and de-escalation. Things begin to very quickly go back to normal. That obviously is the best case scenario. The likelihood we put for that at slightly low, although out of the three alternatives, that is the second most likely option. The second scenario that we see is prolonged, ongoing tensions that last longer than what most of us would hope for. That means is oil probably stays between $80 and $100 a barrel at higher prices, and we can't really do much about inflation and lowering interest rates if that continues. That, in our opinion, is the most likely scenario. The third scenario, which is the least likely, but I'm going to mention it, is that there's an escalation. More countries get involved, folks get in literal and proverbial trenches deeper, and this thing gets worse and drags on longer and longer, creating even higher oil and even more uncertainty in the market, which of course nobody is hoping for. With that being said, we do believe that is a very low probability, yet I mention it because it would have a bigger impact than the first two. A negative, greater impact. So how do we think about those three different scenarios, knowing that the most likely is dragging on a little bit longer before a resolution or a quick de-escalation and resolution, or at least working towards that proactively? There's really two types of investors that we work with. Those that are in the accumulation phase. So those folks are not retired yet. They're putting money into their 401ks or work plans. Hopefully we have a taxable portfolio, or you're building up savings and investments outside of retirement accounts. If you fall in that category, here's how you look at any type of market volatility that presents itself. It's an opportunity. Warren Buffett got immensely wealthy beyond all of our imagination by buying stocks low. So if you are a buyer of investments and not retired and living off of them yet, any sense of market volatility or downturn is an opportunity for you to buy more shares at lower prices. Again, this advice that I'm giving is depending on you having a diversified portfolio that we would agree with. And for those that aren't clients watching this, I can't guarantee that you're in that category unless you give us a call and we can talk you through it. So what do we do for folks that are in retirement living off of these portfolios and not currently working? Well, this is why we've created a portfolio that is well balanced. It is the Swiss Army knife of portfolios, meaning we've got a tool for every job. The market is fighting higher energy prices, sustained inflation, and higher interest rates. We have a partner portfolio that we can tap into to navigate a downturn in the market until things get better. The one thing I do know about the market is every single time in the past, it has always gotten better. The only thing I'm not allowed to do is guarantee that that's going to be the case going forward. Although if we have a track record of 100% certainty of the outcome in the past, it does give us a sense of what we hope to expect in the future. So if you're retired and you're drawing from portfolios, we have safer assets that are not tied to the volatility surrounding energy, oil, or stocks. That's where we're going to go if the market is down. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, the market is really flat or up for the year. So despite the scary headlines, the market has been pretty resilient through this whole conflict. The current risk for this conflict is not that stocks will drop. The risk for a client in the eyes of a financial advisor is that emotions will compel us to make decisions that feel good in the moment, but work against our long-term plan and our financial future. Emotions such as, I don't like Washington or what's going on in the government. I don't like the direction of the politics of the country. I am scared of the uncertainty that is currently happening and dominating the headlines. Those are all really emotional-based decisions. The reality is the market does not take into account your specific emotions for what the outcomes are going to be. I hope that comes across the right way, but I just want to frame it because that truly is the reality of investing. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be a feeling of the unknown for what comes next. But as I just mentioned, we do have a track record of market history that we can tap into to feel some sense of comfort for what's going next. And if that only gets us so far, we can feel further comforted by the fact that these portfolios have baked in bad times. Our goal with clients is that we will never be forced to sell a stock that has dropped until we've given it a chance to recover. The only thing that gets in the way of that is if a client is telling us based on emotions, they don't care what the math says or what history has said. They're making a decision that's working against their best interest, and they feel it's their only option. Those are the things that keep a good financial advisor up at night, worrying about clients for their sake. So 3 things we want to avoid as investors, especially in times like these. We don't want to make geopolitical predictions, right? The future, no one has a crystal ball that works perfectly. We don't exactly know, but usually conflicts like this, and we saw Russia-Ukraine, which isn't resolved, the market has shrugged that off. The odds are not overwhelming, but very good that that will be another outcome for this specific conflict. The second thing that I would like to impress upon people is that we do not want to make major portfolio decisions based on headlines or scary headlines or what have you. We definitely don't want to make major financial planning moves based on what our coworker said in passing at lunch, because odds are that coworker is justifying a decision that they made to feel better about it by telling everyone else what they're supposed to do. So take any of that secondhand financial advice with a grain of salt. The third thing is we do not want to act like these are unprecedented times. I mean, if I had a penny for every time I heard unprecedented times over the last 10 years, I probably would be retired by now, right? It is this catchphrase that everybody agrees with, but quite frankly, every time is unprecedented times. We have never been at this point in history before, so we don't want to get overly emotional when we look at scary headlines. We don't want to make big portfolio adjustments based on those. Success in the market is not timing the market, it is time in the market. And if you're tired of hearing us say that, unfortunately, it just holds true no matter what. It's one of those phrases that is always right. We want to be disciplined, we want to have a plan, and we want to stick with it in good times, and most importantly, in the not so good times. That is where we have seen over many, many years and many, many plans the most amount of success. And in our minds, success for a client is doing all of the things that they can and enjoying retirement. And if it's important to them, maybe leaving whatever is left over to help the next generation. Creating the most amount of enjoyment and joy in your lives while you're around, and then passing what you can to the next generation to help them on their journey. So if you have any questions about what's going on in Iran or other parts of the market or any changes to your specific situation, please reach out, schedule a call with us. We'd be more than happy to go through it and discuss what you specifically should be doing. All right, hard pivot, switching gears completely onto more fun topics. Our Spring into Retirement event was just such an amazing, special event. We had a great group, great turnout. It was the first one of its kind that we've done, and it won't be the last. So if you, unfortunately, were not able to make it, but you wanted to see some of the sessions, we actually do have a recording of those video sessions available on our social media. So if you can't find them, reach out to us, send us an email. We'd be happy to point you in the right direction, and you can get all of the great content that we shared that day online. Coming up next, we have on May 17th, Sunday morning, on Main Street in Bel Air, Derby, soapbox derby races. We were one of the first teams when this event first was brought back from the 60s when they stopped doing it. We have one championship trophy under our belt. My son Blake is the driver, but he'll be racing down Main Street again on May 17th. It is such an amazing event. All these little racers just absolutely love it. Streets lined with families. It is a fun event. We've scheduled good weather. Hopefully that comes through, but it is a fun event. We hope to see you out there and cheer on Harford retirement planners in our car. And lastly, our big event for the year that is probably the most fun, and if you haven't been, mark your calendar. It is July 4th for the parade. So right in front of our office, every July 4th, the Bel Air Parade. It is the best family-friendly small town event. Very patriotic. The U.S. turns 250 years old this July 4th, so it'll be even more special than it has been in previous years. We already have a food truck. We already have our band. We have everything set up that you've been used to in prior years. Face painters, the whole thing. So bring the kids, bring the grandparents, bring your kids and grandkids. It's a multi-generational event. You have plenty of shade. It is amazing. So we hope to see you on the 4th of July in our office. If you have any questions about any of the topics or any events that we have coming up, or we did just come through tax season. If you have any questions when you got your taxes, things were too good. Although that's usually not the case when people have questions about taxes, something unexpected in a bigger bill. Let us talk you through it. So if you have anything that you'd like to discuss or get our guidance to understand better, we're here for you. Reach out. We would love to be able to help. As always, thank you for watching.